Welcome to Modern Catholic Family. My name is Jim Schubert, and I am here with my lovely bride of almost 22 years, Meghan.
Hi.
Hi.
We're in studio.
I know. I'm pretty excited about this. I thought this would be a great way for you and I to just kind of introduce who we are, who the heck we are.
Who the heck we are.
Right? And also what the heck Modern Catholic Family is
Yes.
and what that has to offer. So
Right.
I'd love to, ladies first, right? What, who are you?
That's a great question. I'm Meghan. I'm married to Jim. We have 3 kids, Oliver, Marin, and Molly, 2 fur babies, Samuel Adams, the Boston Terrier, and Mia the cat. We live in the greater Atlanta area. We've been here I've been here for like 23-ish years now, originally from the Northeast. So I come from the mightiest, smallest state, Rhode Island. And I grew up in a big Irish Catholic family. I'm a cradle Catholic. Had an uncle who was a priest. We went to Boston College, a Catholic university. Go Eagles.
Yes.
And moved here right after college. Got a job, moved down, to see if this was going to work out between me and Jim. And here we are.
Thank goodness it did.
20 some odd years later. And we're rolling through life. I left the workforce when our second child was born. So I've been out of the workforce for about a little over 16 years now. And I really always felt like being a mom was my vocation. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I was called to do from an early age. I knew it when I was like 2 years old and I'd carry my baby dolls around with me. So I've been lucky enough to actually fulfill that mission and be really involved with our church and our schools and things like that over the years. So this is a continuation.
Yeah, I love it. And I grew up actually in the Episcopal Church. So I had my conversion later in life, thanks to my lovely bride. And that'll probably be its own episode. But, I went through RCIA as probably a young 20-something and had a beautiful faith journey since then. And, plenty of ups and downs, obviously, with raising kids. And that's one reason Modern Catholic Family is here. But I took over my father's insurance agency about 8-9 years ago after having worked there for about, over 20 years now. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. And I've got a couple of other companies, but that's the main one and just loving it. But I guess I turn it to you to ask, what is Modern Catholic Family and why are we doing this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I don't know that there is like one sort of simple answer as to why we're doing it or exactly what we're hoping to accomplish, because it's like an onion. It's got a ton of layers. And as we go down the road on this journey, we're hoping to kind of peel back some of those layers and really dive in deeper to our faith and what we can provide for families. So why don't we just start with the first question? What is Modern Catholic Family?
Yeah.
What would you say is your sort of statement?
Yeah, so I think our mission statement, if I have it correctly, because I've had to memorize it since we've been working with a fantastic branding person, Danny Kimball. Got to give
shout out to Danny.
Plug for Danny. But Modern Catholic Family is all about empowering families to anchor in the fullness of Catholic living.
Yes.
So this really came about for us through a more recent conversion story from our daughter, which is a separate episode.
Stay tuned.
Yes. And we realized that through the process of her kind of pulling away from the church and then finally coming back, that we wish we had had a resource like this, some place where we could share stories and share resources and kind of like, I guess, tricks and tips and things like that, if you will, for families who have Catholic faith, but maybe aren't as engaged as they want to be, or maybe aren't seeing the rest of their family be as engaged as they would like for their whole family to be.
Right.
Is that similar to what?
Absolutely. I think that, offering a resource to families out there, giving them a place to turn to, really any time there's a struggle in your life, whether that's a faith struggle, a health struggle, whatever the situation is, people need a team around them.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of times, I would say over the past, call it 5 years, maybe, I would say, maybe four. Four is probably more likely. Anyway, about 4 years.
COVID up to now, right?
Basically from COVID, like who didn't struggle with COVID, right?
Yeah.
So I think over those past 4 years, there have been a lot of times that you and I really needed someone to lean on and we didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
So you end up as parents or just a mom or just the dad, you sort of feel like this insular island.
Yeah.
And you don't know if there are other islands out there with people on them. You don't know if there's a lighthouse beyond the horizon.
Yeah.
And it's lonely.
Yeah.
It's really lonely. So we felt like we were kind of called to share our journey, share other people's journeys down the road. We're hoping that, our friends and family members will want to share their journeys so that we can all lean on each other a little bit more and realize that there is an island out there. And when the fog lifts, you'll see us.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about struggles in there. And I guess the question would be, what are some of the big struggles that we see, you and I see Catholic families, challenged with these days? I guess for me, I would say, I think it's just not having enough quiet time.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I don't mean
we didn't discuss this before.
No,
guys.
we didn't. We didn't at all. I'm kind of coming up with this off the cuff, but I thought about this a lot. It's just to have enough time to hear that still small voice, right? That we hear in Samuel, and having the.
Sorry, our dog's name is Samuel.
Yeah, that was pretty
I actually
funny.
thought he was talking about our
Didn't
dog
plan
for a
that.
second.
Our dog is literally
sleeping right here,
lying in front of us right now. Didn't mean him. Talking about the Bible. But yeah, that still small voice. And the only way that we can hear that is when we just shut off the distractions, shut off the media, the news. I'll tell you, I gave up news apps on my phone for Lent. Holy cow. That was probably the most alive I have felt on a daily basis in a long time. And not only alive, just in a more positive outlook, because there's so much negativity.
Oh, there's too much negativity.
Yeah. What do you see as kind of this big struggle that you see?
Yeah. This to me is a hard one because I feel like as a parent, it changes not only for me, but for each of our children. Right. Yeah. So I guess if I had to kind of loop everything together, it's sort of a twofold. I think the phones are a major issue, just technology in general. There's a lot of really bad stuff out there, a lot of really good stuff, right? I mean, the technology can be great. Here we are today using technology, hoping to reach people and have conversations with people. But I feel like the devil is just out to get families right now. I feel like the nuclear family, the Catholic family, and what that stands for is just under attack. Yeah. And so all of these different categories, I guess I would say, for each of our children that maybe they struggle with just falls under, like we're just the Catholic family is attacked by the devil right now. Sure.
And I mean, you and I have these, two slightly different things that we feel like are challenges, but I also know that and recognize that in talking with other families about what we're doing with Modern Catholic Family, that there's so many different types of struggles.
So many.
And to your point about being alone, I mean, that's one thing that I really felt like and again, I don't want to give away the story for the next episode, but I did become a life teen leader in the past 6 to 9 months, and it has absolutely changed my life. So talking about, going from feeling like we're on an island to then hearing other core members, adult members of Life Teen share experiences and realizing that, oh my gosh, we're not alone.
Right.
There are so many resources and ways to be drawn back into the fullness of Catholic living.
Right.
So I guess when we talk about the struggles, though, what do you see, or I guess how does Modern Catholic Family seek to solve some of those struggles or reach out to people in those struggles?
Yeah. I think it's going to take on multi forms, right? And my expectation is whatever path we choose to go down first, it will evolve from there.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest problem that we hope to solve is to let everyone know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Whatever your struggle is.
Yeah.
And we know there are so many different areas that families struggle with, and my struggle might not be your struggle. But we hope that as this goes on and we speak to families in different stages of their life and dealing with different struggles, that then our listeners and viewers and those who follow along will find something in there and say, yes, I identify with that and I need help there.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to be a resource, to share stories, to be a community for people, and just bring people together again. It's COVID was a big division.
Yeah, big
right?
speed bump.
Yeah, and
Huge.
I think we're still reeling off that. Like if you think of the kids who graduated high school that year, they're graduating college this year.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not that far removed from it.
No.
And we're still struggling, and we're trying to find our communities again, because communities were destroyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you agree? I mean, do you think there's a different path?
No. I totally agree. And actually, going back to what you said about feeling alone, I kept thinking about how when we were trying to, and really for me, I was praying, after I'd kind of watched our daughter go through this amazing conversion and praying, okay, God, what do you want us to do with this? I feel like there's some kind of responsibility that we have to carry the ball forward to help others.
Right.
And I just don't, the answer that I got was, we'll create something, right?
Right.
And what I realized was there's some great, fantastic resources. We're going to probably talk about them here in just a second, but some great online resources, some fantastic priests and bishops and all kinds of different lay people that have different ministries or apostolates, if you will.
Right.
And what I saw, though, was that none of them specifically focused on Catholic families.
Yeah, the family.
They might focus on Catholic education. They might focus on, Bible education or lots of different things, or just learning about the faith in general. But nothing that I saw was specifically geared towards Catholic families, especially modern Catholic families,
Right.
and all the struggles that surround us that we have to deal with every day.
And I think it's good to note that, in talking about all those other apostolates that are out there, whether it's for the mom, whether it's for the dad, whether it's for, the Bible in the year, all of those are components and can be used to keep the Catholic family together.
Yeah.
So as we go along on this journey, I think, and you and I have used a lot of those resources individually, maybe, not necessarily for a family, but just for our own personal faith journey. We're hoping to share some of that with everyone, right? And I mean, hope that in our community, if you guys find something you want to share with us, we're open to that. We want to know, we want to learn, we want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking about kind of the types of resources and things like that. What are some of your favorite resources to lean on when it comes to re-engaging your family's faith?
This is a hard one.
And I'll go first if you want me to.
Yeah. Why don't you go first? I've got some ideas, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So, for me, like I said before, just getting involved in Life Teen. I said I had a big moment where I surrendered to God and I said yes. And it was a very in the moment kind of thing. And then, to be honest, right afterwards, I was like, oh, what did I just do?
I had that thought also. I'm never going to see him again.
But I will say it has been one of the most rewarding things. So for folks who have Life Teen as part of their parish ministry or any kind of youth ministry, our youngest who's in middle school attends Edge, which is the middle school version. But just getting involved, and you and I have talked about this a lot with ourselves and other people, where it's just like we need to be involved in our kids' lives. That's how you make a change. If we remove ourselves and just let them go up into their rooms and stay on their iPads and stay on their phones and become hermits.
Right.
Does that sound familiar to anyone? Because I know our kids.
It's like all the teenagers I
right?
know.
It's like one of the biggest challenges, but finding ways to intentionally get involved in your kids, that's been one of the best resources that I've been able to learn how to better, I guess almost evangelize in my own home, but without doing it, kind of the thought of, but doing it without words, right? Doing it without just living out the example for your kids that you want your kids to follow.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And actually, mine is not really all that different from yours.
Okay.
I sort of have two, but the main one is...
I secretly have two as well.
Do you?
Yeah, so we can talk
We're
about
going to
that
go back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Oh, my turn. Okay. The biggest one, I think, the one that's made, I saw an immediate difference. I saw a change in our family. I mean, it was pronounced, was when you started going to adoration twice a week.
That was my second one. You stole it.
I got it first.
That's okay.
Yeah. But that just goes to show what a big change it made in our life. So,
What kind of change did you see, though? I mean, it's one thing for me to go, and I'm curious to know.
I saw, so prior to you starting, we were kind of, struggling with, some challenges in our teenage daughter's life and some fighting back. She wasn't wanting to go to confirmation, not confirmation, but she wasn't wanting to go to the confirmation classes,
right.
Really questioning everything. And Jim said to me one day, I'm going to start going to adoration twice a week. So we are very, very lucky in our parish. We have adoration 24/7.
Yeah.
I know that's not the case of every parish. And we are beyond blessed to have this opportunity.
Yep.
So Jim started going. He literally put a date in his calendar every week. He blocked off 30 minutes.
Monday and Friday.
Yep. Start the week, end the week.
Yep.
And he would leave the office. He works not far from our church. He would leave the office, go to adoration for 20, 30 minutes. I mean, I would even say max, right? Some days it was shorter, but it's usually about 30.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes come home for lunch or sometimes back to the office right away for a meeting, whatnot. And things changed very quickly. So the story you'll hear in the next podcast or so, Jim will, kind of fill in the details about what happened with our daughter, but her recommitment to her faith kind of happened quickly. And the only thing that changed in our life was Jim going to adoration consistently twice a week. That was the only thing.
Wow.
It was so pronounced to me.
Well, and back to kind of what I was saying before about just making the time to be quiet and listen.
Exactly.
I mean,
you said those words earlier and I thought.
Like, that's literally why I did it, is because I felt like there's too much noise. I need to get to a space where I can, pray, let my mind just calm down, settle down, and then listen.
Yeah.
Just listen. And that's kind of where I heard, not an audible voice for sure, but certainly the nudge of create something. You've got this in you. So, yeah.
And it's amazing. The time flies by.
Yeah.
The time flies by.
It does.
I went to adoration last week. I had some time in between picking kids up from school and going here and there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go in. I have about a half an hour. I'll say a few prayers, but then I'm going to say the rosary.
Yeah.
The time flew by. I must have been praying for a lot longer than I thought because I only got 2 decades of the rosary in. So I was like, okay, guardian angels, you just finished that one up for me.
And over to you.
Yeah, exactly. Over to you, angels.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Oh, but my second one.
Yeah.
I would say one of my personal favorite resources on a personal level is the prayer challenges that the Hallow app does.
Yeah.
I love that. And
Yeah,
we did it together so we could have great conversations. Yep. This year in particular, the Lenten Pray 40 challenge was spectacular.
Yeah,
it was
awesome.
so good.
Yeah.
So good. And out of that came a lot more reading that I took upon myself to dig deeper into some things. It's just, it builds you up as a person, and we all need strength to get through the day.
Yeah, absolutely. In meeting new people, hearing different stories, stories that I never would have thought had anything to do with my own life, like last year's Pray 40 challenge
That was incredible.
with Immaculate Ilibagiza, who came on a few times. I mean, she like couldn't have lived a different life than you and I
Correct.
growing up and experiencing the Rwandan genocide
Right.
back in the early 90s. I mean, talk about on the other side of the world in a totally different culture. She's literally part of a tribe. And then getting the chance to meet her this year at a prayer breakfast for the insurance industry was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally like fanboy walking over to her like, oh my gosh, I know who you are. But you know, and I guess, you know, when I think about, okay, where does Modern Catholic Family go from here, right? This is one of the first episodes. Where do we go from here? I mean, I think about, I want to have as many resources
Yes.
for our audience that we
Yes.
can. So interviewing people like Immaculée,
Right.
interviewing priests and deacons and religious and lay people all over that have totally different things that they would bring to the table, totally different perspectives. And I guess, you know, maybe specialize in different challenges. I mean, we talked about, you know, there's so many different things going on with people's lives,
many.
like homeschool, right? There's a whole Catholic homeschool community that probably needs to be served and lifted up and recognized, and also people living with disabilities. There's a huge disabilities ministry for the teens in our church.
Yep.
And we know people that have children with disabilities that feel exactly like you said, like they're alone on an island. We need to give them a voice, and we need to help other people that are going through that and experiencing still how do you anchor in the fullness of Catholic living when you have a child with a severe disability. We want to help those people feel like they're not alone on an island.
Right.
So,
Right. I think this is just going to kind of blossom and grow as we go along. So, you know, we have all these great plans, but you know what they say, when people make plans,
yeah.
God laughs.
Yep. God's got his own.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think that's, you know, the next segue for us would be like, how do you get plugged in to Modern Catholic Family? And I would say the easiest way for right now is to go to our website, which by the time that this is released, it will absolutely be live, but it's moderncatholicfamily.org/faith checklist, because we've got a checklist of 10 things that you can do to awaken your family's faith outside of Mass. So some of the things we've talked about today, but we've only just scratched the surface. There's a whole list in
Yes.
there of some ideas, and it even goes deeper into specifics within each category of things that you can do to engage your family and to help them anchor in the fullness of Catholic living. So
Yes.
check that out, moderncatholicfamily.org/faith checklist.
And we would love to engage with you. We
Yeah.
want to know what you are struggling with, or what you're celebrating,
Yeah.
or what successes you've had, or what resources you would like to share. Send us a message, send us an email, find us on social media, and send us a note. We would love to partner with you. We want to be here for you. We want the fog around you to lift and for you to see us and know that we're out there.
Absolutely. One way you can do that is to leave us, if you're watching this on YouTube, for sure, put something in the comments. We would love to respond to it and give us some ideas for upcoming episodes.
Yes.
If you're listening to this in your ears, you're driving, listening to it as a podcast, be sure to go to your computer or on your phone when you get time, go to moderncatholicfamily.org and find the podcast page, and there'll be show notes for each episode. And there's a new thing that Buzzsprout, which is the company, the software we use to produce or upload our podcast to, they have this new feature where you can actually text us.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there'll be a link. I just discovered this the other day. There'll be a link at the very top of the show notes that says text us. So you can text us. We'll literally get a message on our phones. And I'm not sure if we can respond to you, but for sure we could at least, get back to you in terms of like, well, if you download the checklist, you'll have to give us your email to get that. So we could always email you back. But, yeah, we really look forward to sharing this with the whole world.
Yeah, it's going to be a journey.
Yeah, it's going to be a great journey.
It's going to be a great journey.
Yeah. Thank you, my lovely bride. I appreciate
Happy
you
to be
being
here with you.
Yeah, awesome.
Happy to be doing this with you.
Yes. Thank you, family. Appreciate it. God bless.
Have a great day.